On this week's weekly video fishing forecast, I have some video from the south shore of the erosion from last week's storm. If you're looking for a winter getaway that you can drive to, I have the details, and Paul McCain has another how-to flag tying demonstration video. Stay tuned.
The fishing news is sponsored by these fine partners.
I hope this winter has been treating everybody well so far. It's not a bad idea to start thinking about renewing your New York State registry along with other states you may fish in. This is important not only to be compliant with the law, but you can't get your beach permit or freshwater license without a registry. It's free to register. Click on the link in the top right for more information. Last week's storm wreaked havoc on our South Shore beaches. Two areas of high interest are Gilgo Beach and Jones Inlet. I got the opportunity to visit both locations to see the effects of Mother Nature firsthand. The Jones Inlet is posing a major navigational threat going into the 2022 boating season, with its intense showing at the mouth of it. Plans to dredge are scheduled in the distant future around fall of 2022. While headed back to the east at Gilgo, I saw the 4x4 entrance was closed off due to extreme erosion. This entrance is typically open to surfers right now. In this clip, you can see how much the recent waves have exposed more of the old Coast Guard station. For those looking for an easy winter fishing destination, maybe one that you don't have to fly to, well, it may not be tropical, but the freshwater fishing is world class. New England editor Dave Anderson has all the details.
When you think about wintertime fishing getaway, you're probably thinking of somewhere warm. But if that doesn't fit your budget, or if you don't like to fly, or if you just don't have the time for it, you can head out to Cape Cod on the cheap, especially in the off season. The hotels are cheap, the ponds are well stocked. There's almost 1,000 ponds on Cape Cod. Everything's covered, the fishing's great, and it's an easy run.
With nearly 1,000 ponds and many of them well stocked, the Cape offers some of the best sweetwater fishing you'll find anywhere in the Northeast. And if you're going to make the trip, here's what you need.
If you want to be fishing the Cape freshwater, something like this will get the job done. We have a 2500 Sedona on here, so the entry level is Shimano's and the St. Croix Triumph. Great warranty from these guys. I absolutely love the action. I think this is a 6.6 medium light power, so it kind of does everything. I can do light bass and heavy trout stuff with it. You can walk with one combo and just love it. So at the Goose, we have a bunch of options for waders, so keeping yourself warm in these conditions. So we got a lot of Frog Togs on the more entry level. We got Sims on the nicer stuff. I definitely keep a nice pair of warm sweatpants underneath, and usually double up on my layer of socks, a hoodie, and then like a nice winter jacket, probably with a nice warm beanie as well, just to keep yourself warm or you're gonna be out there for a couple hours. So I think Dave and I both are fans of the Sling Pack. I do it a lot for like my lighter saltwater schoolie action in the spring too. And just with one tray and a couple of packs of probably like the Gary Yamamoto's or a little Kitex, and it allows me to walk and cast and keep my hands free, you know? As we know, the Cape is riddled with tons of kettle ponds. So we're hunting, we're kind of walking around, which is why the waders are gonna be critical and the gear is kind of critical, because we have to search for the bite. And we're kind of walking and casting. So you gotta cover ground to find these fish, which is plentiful. We got a lot of browns, brookies, rainbows that are all stocked on the Cape. We also have a lot of good smallmouth and monster pickerel in these Cape Cod ponds in the wintertime, can be very good as well. So you can log on to massfishandhunt.com and you can get all your freshwater licenses. Mass Fish and Hunt is a great resource for acquiring your license, but it's also great for a resource for finding what fish or what ponds are stocked. So we can search on a search engine on massfishandhunt.com, and you can find out and narrow down to your most productive areas. I cannot preach these Baker jerkbaits. This is just shy of 3 inches, and I have caught everything on it. The crackleback color is an absolute must for me. It's in my top 3 freshwater lures, period. They got great hooks, they cast really well, and they catch everything from a huge largie to a little perch. I just swear by them, and they're $10, so it's, you know, it doesn't make you broke in the process. And these are the TRD ticklers from Z-Man. This is the moon ring color, and it's kind of like a pink, bluey, purpley hue. And then in the standard TRDs, I was using, they call this smelt color, and it's kind of an off silver and white. And these are both highly productive lures, and they last a really long time. The TRDs don't tear, they catch a million smallies on one. So good value. So the line that I use on most of my freshwater setups are either 10 pound or 15 pound. This J8 casts phenomenally well, really quiet through the guides, gets over your cast. And then across the board, I pretty much use 8 pound. This is a Seaguar Blue Label, very common, everybody's got it. And 8 pound works great for a mixed variety. Anything other than a big pickerel, it's gonna do pretty well for Cape Cod ponds. Bunch of little accessories. I like to have a good set of 7-inch pliers. I also like to have forceps too, because sometimes these trout are really sensitive and they choke the hook really deep. If you don't want to keep it, we're trying to do as little as damage as we possibly can. So that helps in healthy catch and release fishery here. We're trying to keep them off the shore and off the rocks to keep the slime on the trout. So I do use a rubber net that's just helping doing less damage to the trout and getting them back there and swimming healthy. Down here at the Goose Hummock, we got guys that can definitely help you out. I've been fishing here my whole life, so the hours of freshwater ponds I've spent is in the thousands, and I will transfer my knowledge down to you guys, help you out.
You have many choices when it comes to where to stay. Places like the Ocean Edge Resort to the charming accommodations at the Cove Motel, and of course there are Airbnbs and VRBOs all over the place. A quick web search will put you on the right path. Even though it's the off season, there are many great restaurants to stay open year round, and you won't have to wait in those insane summer lines. And if your travel companion is not a fisherman, they can explore the quaint town of Chatham, hike or bike on the numerous trails. There's tons to do for everybody. And because the Cape juts out into the Atlantic Ocean, the ponds out there rarely ever freeze, so there's almost always open water options for any angler.
So if you got cabin fever and you feel like you just got to get out and do some fishing, escape to the Cape where you can enjoy the great outdoors.
Let's see what Captain Mike Century has been up to. Mike.
Thanks, Tim and Matt. Hope all is well. Hey guys, Mike Century here from Anglers of Legend Sportfish. Just came back inside the house. Well, was in the garage for a couple hours and gave me some insight to do this video. Was out there pretty much on my slower days, off of work days. Go in there, replenish my tackle, go through it, do an inventory list of what I need for the upcoming season, which will be the striped bass and bluefish season. Springtime, later springtime will be the bluefin tuna. Summer will be fluke, albacore, blackfish, whatever's out there, whatever's swimming, we hook it. That's a done deal. But now, winter months, take care of your tackle, go through it, check out your rods, looking for, specking for nicks, especially your ceramic coatings if you have some of those. Sometimes these rods comes with aluminum and stainless steel guides, which are a little bit better than ceramic, but always check your equipment. Don't wait for the last minute. You're on the boat fishing, next thing you know, you're losing, jigs left and right. Check your equipment, grease up your reels, clean them up, get all the salt water out. Hopefully you do that before you bring the rods, on land. Treble hooks, ball barrels, swivings, all that stuff. Take care of your equipment, go through it, see what you need for the springtime, get acclimated. And for those boat owners, end of February, it's when I'm pretty busy fixing people's boats. So reach out to me if you need some help. With that said, we have a flea market coming up February 5th in Jersey, Raritan Bay Anglers Flea Market. That's annual event for the last 30-something years they've been having this. So check it out. It's February 5th. And the Javits Boats Show, it's January 26th. That's another boat show to definitely go visit. And that's about it, guys. Just, stay warm, stay dry, fix some equipment, and see you guys around. Back to you, Matt.
Paul McCain of River Bay Outfitters has this report for us. Paul.
Hello, Matt. Well, on my day off, I just had to get out. It is in the low 30s, high 20s. It was pretty cold this morning, but I had to get out on the, come up to the Connecticut, just wet a line. I just was going crazy. I could just tie so many flies. I did run into, I just got here, so I haven't caught any fish. I haven't fished yet, but I did run into Matt Malnowski, Mark's son, and he's fishing his way up the river. We're both upriver today. He did have a couple fish, so it was good for him. Hopefully, I'm going to get into some. As far as everything else going, white perch, but you have to get out there with the right tide when it's not too cold. I've been hearing the Croton system is doing well. Surprisingly, the waters are way down on both the Farmington and the Housatonic. And when you can get out, if it's not too cold, you can fish it. The Farmington doesn't freeze. It's a tailwaters. So it's an opportunity for you. As far as other things going, it's winter. Tie flies. Get out when you can. Until next week. Tie lines, everybody.
Paul will also have another one of his fly tying demos at the end of the video. Let's check in with Chris Ludwig. Chris.
Hey, thanks Matt. What's going on, guys? So this last week we had a little bit of a combination trip going on. I started out in the east coast of Florida. I had some things to take care of down there. But in between that, I got out in offshoots of the Indian River and had some sick topwater action. We're throwing little chugging spooks after Jack Crevalle. These things were tight to the shore, and it was almost as if when the spook hit the water, they'd come up and smash it. I mean, instantaneously. But when it was off. They were gone. Moving forward from that, back at home, the pickerel action seems to be hard to get to. A lot of things seem frozen over here. But we're doing our best to get to them. I had a couple pickerels so far on the Gambler paddle tails. Nothing too crazy. I'm going to try to get after these bigger fish once this rain hopefully melts the ice. And on the other side of that, I'm seeing the white perch game pick up. Quite a few people are catching them on small Mr. Twisters, tiny paddle tails, trout magnet time things, and the brackish mixing water near us. So get on out there, guys, if you can. The fishing seems to be available. Take care. Back to you, Matt.
Well, Matt, this week I'm going to tie a saltwater pattern by one of the most famous of all fly fishermen. That's, of course, Lefty Cray. He came up with this pattern back in the 60s, and the way he tied it is completely different than the way you see it today. Most flies that are in the 5 pins that are tied by other people, they're really to catch fishermen. They will catch fish, but they really do catch fishermen. Lefty wasn't concerned about that. He wanted his flies to catch fish. That's all he cared about, and to do it quickly and do it fast. You know, when you look at it, the Lefty's Deceiver is a very simple fly. It's got hackle, it's got bucktail, it's got a little, some peacock curl on it, a little flash maybe, but it was very simple. And the funny thing is, this is a saltwater fly, but it works terrific in freshwater too. So you can tie these up. Very simple to do. Let's get to the vise and give it a shot. Well, one of the first things I do, I'm using a short shanked stainless steel hook. I'm actually going to debarb it, and there's several reasons for it, because I basically release almost 99% of my fish, and I want to get it out of them. But with saltwater flies, I definitely want to be able to get it out of me. That's very, very important. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take my thread. Now, I put my thread right where I want to end up. I don't want to crowd the eye. So I tie my thread on, wrap it back, and trim it. And I like to make it an open wrap spiral base. That gives something for the bucktail to grip on. It's a very simple fly, like I said. There's not much to it. All right. Now, one of the things is when you buy Lefty's Deceivers, they tend to be really nice and stacked nice and everything. But in reality, I watched Lefty tie, and he would just grab a bunch of hackle, just take it right off that string, 6 to 8 pieces, and he would wet it like this and just lash it on. He didn't do all this lining up and everything. He wasn't really concerned with that. So I'm measuring out. I basically want the tail to be the shank of the hook. And I'm going to tie it in right here. And when it dries, it really it pops. It just flares out. Now, he would use tinsel, but tinsel has its, it works great, but he had metal tinsel back then. This fly is from the 60s.
And then they started using Mylar tinsel, which is definitely a lot better. But I tell you, I like this Bill's body braid. I like to wrap it on, tie it on, bring my thread forward, leave in space, and then I would wrap this stuff. Why I like it is it's easy to apply, but also it just really has a nice look to it, and it hides a lot of mistakes. And it's pretty durable. There are a lot of flies you could tie with this Bill's body braid. And I'm going to wrap it right up to right about here and bring my thread back. And do a couple wraps to secure it. I'm going to take some white bucktail. There again, I'm not going to line it up. I'm just going to grab a bunch, not too big a bunch, and cut it. And I cut it right off the hide. You don't want to cut it halfway down, because then that tail becomes useless. And I want to clean out all the soft ones. And I'm going to line it up. I want it to go basically halfway down. And I'm going to do a couple loose wraps. And then I'm going to force it down right alongside the edges. So it's on both sides. And then reach in here, trim it off. Now I'm going to take yellow. Oh, before I do that, actually, what I'm going to do is take some crystal flash, right? And I'm going to just wrap it around. Now, he didn't have crystal flash back then, but I like to use a little bit just to give it a little flash to it. And take a little bit of bucktail. I'm going to use yellow today. Same thing, I'm just going to grab a small bunch, cut it off the hide. Clean out all the fuzzies. And measure it. And tie it down. Not too hard yet. Reapply it. It's a little too long. There you go. That's it. Reach in there. And I'm going to take some, about, I don't know, 6 or so peacock curl. Measure it. And tie it down. And then build up a nice head. Take my whip finishing tool. And reach in there and just trim it. Now, when this this dries, this will flare right up. It will be really, really good. This is, like I said, this is Lefty's Deceiver. Right, he didn't put eyes on his. In fact, his were very, very simple. It's really not much to it, and it catches a lot of fish. So, until next week, tight lines.
Stay warm, look over your tackle, and we will see you right here next week.
Steigercraft boats, built by people who fish our waters. Serious anglers choose Steigercraft for their 40 years of boat building experience right here in the Northeast and Mid-Atlantic. Visit steigercraft.com for a dealer near you.